Welcome to the Morningstar Podcast, a space for real conversations and shared experiences. Together, we'll explore the ideas and stories that inspire, guide, and connect us all. Let's get started. The Morningstar Podcast discusses topics related to recovery, addiction, and mental health, which may be sensitive for some listeners. We are not medical professionals, and this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice or treatment. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Morningstar Podcast. Thank you for, if you haven't already, please subscribe, and give us a follow. Today we have a guest here, a guest that that's always helped me out and always been there for me. I'm very close with her kids and her grandkids. I grew up with her grandkids, and I'm just really glad that she can make it up here to Bismarck and share a little bit of her story, share a little bit of her journey, and we also here with my co-host, we got Kaylin here, and we have my grandma Kim here, Kim Dickens from White Shield. Maybe Kim, you can tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. First, thank you guys for inviting me on here. It's such an honor. I was scared and then thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to say? My kids will be mad at me, but I'll introduce you myself. Thank you for inviting me. And I want to congratulate you guys on your podcast. I listened to it on the way down, and it was so informational that I wish that this could be brought to each community so our tribal members could understand the process, what certain people's duties are, and it just was gave me a lot of information and a different insight onto what Good Road is about. And it's good to see that everybody here is all here for one common goal, and that's to help each other out. Mm-hmm. If it's just by telling their story or even just by listening, like myself coming down today and listening to the podcast, in my listening, I learned a lot. So that's, and that's the whole idea of what you guys are doing, is to bring light to what Good Road is about. And I wish you guys good luck on the rest of your podcast, because you did bring in a lot of people who had a lot of information, and that's what we want to see. So my English name is Kim Elkins. I know Ethan said Dickens, but I've been a Dickens for almost 30 years, and I remarried, so I'm Kim Elkins. My Indian name is Iron Road Woman, and I'm Arikara Lakota. I'm from Sudaga. So Sudaga is White Shield in Arikara. I attended school there, elementary through high school. I'm grassroots. I was born and raised there. And I just have to put in a little plug for the White Shield Warriors. Go Warriors, because Julie is my sister cousin. We're sisters. And we went to, was it Monday? Monday we went to District 8 tournaments in Garrison. And we go because we have grandchildren Tokojas that play for Garrison is Little Hal. And then White Shield was playing also. And it was so good to see when we went into the gym. Mandaree had just played before White Shield, and White Shield was playing. And it was so good to see the support that Mandaree was giving our team, because that game was deciding if we were going to move on. Mm-hmm. And we did. We won. And so Garrison and White Shield will be going to regionals, which will be next Monday here in Bismarck. So if you guys want to come out and support us, that would be nice. But that's what Julie and I like to do. And then I want to thank Mandaree for the support and cheering that they did for us when White Shield was playing. So I believe White Shield plays Bowman. So I checked their schedule, their records. And then Garrison plays Beach. I'm married to Roland Elkins. He's C. Conju. He's from Rosebud, but he grew up in Rapid City. And like I told Ethan, I was married previously to Max. We were married for almost 30 years, and he passed away in 2012. And we have 5 children: Jonah, LaBelle, Penny, Sky Eagle Deer, and White Elk Woman. And today I have 2 children left out of my 5. I have White Elk Woman and Sky Eagle Deer. And then I always say, I'm not a grandma, I'm a glamma. I have 16 grandchildren. I have 3 great grandchildren, and 2 great grandsons and 1 great granddaughter. So I have 16 grandkids altogether. And I always tell my grandkids, I love all my grandkids. They're my world. They're my universe. They're my reason for living, for being here today, because, we went through a lot, and I'm truly blessed, to have all my grandchildren. I will say I'm not monetary rich, but I'm rich with grandchildren. My parents were Gilbert Perkins Sr., so I come from the Perkins families. Perkins is my maiden name. My mom was Hope Red Fox Plenty Chief. And my father's parents were Henry Yellow Bear, Henry Perkins, but his English name was Perkins, but his name was Yellow Bear. And his mother, my grandma, was Elizabeth Price. And on my mother's side, her parents were Walter Plenty Chief and Emma, or she went by Mary Cohan, and she was from Standing Rock. So that's where I get my Lakota from. And then I have 4 siblings, 3 brothers, 1 sister, and I'm one of 2 that are left out of my siblings. Myself, and I have an older brother, Clem. And I'm so glad you guys gave me these questions ahead of time, because but then you overthink things too, and it gets distorted, and you just give up and think, what was I thinking? So when I was reading these questions, and I think about what do I know about drugs and alcohol, and when I haven't been to treatment myself. I mean, I went through my partying around days and when I was younger, but I knew when to quit, and that it wasn't something that I was going to do forever. So, and then I started thinking back about my family, and my father, my mom, my brothers, my son Jonah, my nephew Maurice. They were all alcoholics. And then my son Sky Eagle Deer and my daughter Penny. And then I have 3 grandsons and a granddaughter who are all into drugs. We're into drugs. One is in recovery. He's been clean. And the others are finding their way. So I guess from the experience of what I lived with growing up in an alcoholic home, dysfunctional home, and then with my grandkids, I remember one time my dad was in treatment, and I put him there. That was the scariest thing ever. But the counselor who was his counselor, I told him, I don't know much about alcohol, but he said, with all the experience that you have in your family, he said he could learn from me. But I thought about that a lot as far as the experience that I have with addiction.
Yeah, I grew up with my grandmother and my dad, and my brother, and I know all the stories on my end, the end of like the alcoholic or the drug
Mm-hmm.
addict, and I've never heard the my grandma's side of the story. So when I hear you talk about it, like I think that I'm somewhat listening to my grandma's side.
Mm-hmm.
I used to raise a lot of hell, and me and my brother. So I can only imagine what you went through with your children and grandchildren. And I'm a big grandma's boy, and the last thing I want to do is
Hurt
break
her.
break my grandma's heart.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just the way it went.
Yeah.
And we knew that you could bring good insight on on your experience, and maybe you can talk a little bit on
Okay.
how it was for you.
So, like you said, Ethan, but the last thing you want to do is break your grandma's heart. And like what you were saying, you did your messing around, but today you're sober, you're clean, and that's all we want. All of that, you might not, what you did in the past, you might not feel right about it. You hurt her, but we forgive you guys. This is what we want. And I can tell you right now, your grandma is so proud of you, and she's so happy that, because it feels so good that you don't have to worry. It's even like with Jeff, it's a one less worry for me. But then of course you have the others who are still finding their way, but that just know that she's proud of you, and she's happy that you're clean,
Mm-hmm.
and she can sleep good at night, not have to worry or wait for that phone call. It's many nights, many times I've been through this. And like now, I I think of my son Sky Eagle Deer. He's clean. He's been sober, and it feels so good to not have to worry about him anymore. He did his, and I'm sure, and that's what I have in one of my answers in my question, answering the questions, was, when you guys were all born and you were little babies, and your moms and your grandmas, we held you in our arms, and oh my God, you're so precious, so cute, and you never ever dreamed that you were going to become an addict. Nobody plans that. That's not a goal. But like, things happen in our lifetime that we don't know how to handle it. You want to numb that pain, you want to numb the hurt. So then you find ways that will take it away so you don't think about it. And then before you know it, you're addicted. You're too far into it. But just know your grandma's proud of you.
Mm-hmm.
That like I am with Jeff, I'm so proud. I'm so happy, because there were times it was hard, it was tough. You don't think, are they going to make it through this? That's the thinking that grandmas go through, that parents go through. It's just like, all you got to do is listen. But
Yes, I just want to say thank you for that, because I'm a grandma's girl as well. Um, I lost my grandma, a year and a half ago. So it was like 2 years into my sobriety. And, this interview means a lot to me, because she wasn't a big talker.
mhm.
You know what I mean? She was really quiet. But I knew there was a lot in there that was unsaid,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but
Yep.
that love that
Yep.
she gave me and showed me, you know, I'll always, you know, remember that and take that with me. And sobriety, you know, before she left, one thing she told me was just stay sober, just
Yep.
stay sober and take care of those kids. That's it. And you know, and that's not really hard. You know,
Mm-mm.
like in the
Mm-mm.
moment it is. Don't
Mm-hmm.
get me wrong, but like I put my grandma through so much, right? So much, and her putting up her boundaries at the end there, you know, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I can't imagine how hard that was for her to say no.
Yep.
To say no, because right, I'm in jail, you know. Grandma's gonna say yeah, right? The lawyer's like, if your grandma says yeah, you can go back to her, you know, go back to her residence. We'll let you out. All right, cool. I'm gonna get let out. Grandma said no this time. And I was mad, right? I was mad. I hung up the phone. I just wanted to go back to my cell. I went back to my cell and you know, and I took that into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
Grandma loves me.
Yep.
She wants me to get better. She's really upset.
Yeah.
She's really mad
She's
this
mad
time.
this time.
Because grandma was there, right, when I was young and calling up the courts, you know, and I got out, you know, but nope. So thank you for being here again. I can hear my grandma through you.
Mm-hmm. That's good to hear.
Yes.
I'm laughing because I just had this conversation yesterday with my grandson.
Mm.
And he's in jail. He's going to be there a while. Same conversation. But he was so 19 years old and he thinks he knows everything. And he said to me, I'm just playing the role that everybody wants me to play. I'm just playing that role. I said, well, then you play it by yourself.
Mm.
And I hung up on him. So like you said, I have to put up my boundaries. I was so upset, and my daughter White Elkelman was laughing at me, Mom, and because I said some choice words, and she said, where did you learn that at? And I said, I'm so mad. I said, I'm not even going to answer his phone call. I'm not even going to talk to him. She said, who said that? I said, I did. So I know what you mean. I had to say no. And it's because we love him. The other day, my other grandson was picked up. We put an EDO on him. Same day, yesterday, he calls me and he said, Grandma, I'm in jail. I said, yeah. And he said, did you, Mom, put an EDO on me? And I said, yeah. He said, did you too, Grandma? And I said, yes, I did. I said, and I did it because I love you, you know. And he took it good. He said, oh, okay. He said, well, I'm not using. And I said, no, you weren't. I said, but you're not yourself yet. You need to get on medication. And he said, okay, well, Grandma, I got to go. He said, I love you. You know, so just to have that conversation and be honest with him and tell him, you know, I did it and I did it because I love you.
Yep.
And I know there are people who think that's not the way to go. Why would you do that? Why would you put your grandson in jail? But it's because I love him and I want him to be here.
Yep.
You know, I've lost 3. I have 5 kids and I lost 3. And I do not want to have to bury a grandchild, you know. So I do what I can to help them all. And it's out of love because I love them. So understand, just know your grandmas are all proud of you.
Mm.
You know, you're doing it. You're doing the right thing. You're doing what they want. And a grandma's wish and goal is to not use, to be clean, to be sober, and to take care of her grandkids. You know, that's all we want. You know, we just want them to be safe, you know, have a safe place to live, mom, dad to be clean, you know, just that's our dream. That's what we want. And you're doing it.
Yes. So I have a question. So like out of all that, like what do you do to like what kind of support groups do you have to help you through
To
these
help me
things?
through that.
Yes.
Dealing with the loss of losing 3 children, and then I lost my husband, and then on top of that, I have grandkids who didn't know how to deal with losing their dad and losing their mom.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, a lot of my support is prayer. Prayer is your number one goal. I mean, you have to pray. You have to have a higher power. You can pray anytime. You don't have to go to church. You can pray anytime you want. Driving down here, I was praying, going to work. I remember there was this one time, there was something had happened and I stopped. We were in the car and Roland was talking to me, and I don't know what it was happened, but I stopped real fast to say a prayer real fast for this person. And I had closed my eyes and I was really doing my prayer real fast. And he looks at me and he says, "What are you doing?" And I said, I'm saying a little prayer, because that's what you do when somebody's hurting, somebody, or even if you don't
Mm-hmm.
know them, you know, prayer is what helps me. Um, Ceremonies, I go to Sundance, um, even helping out people like doing this. I always say, if my talking or if my story can help somebody in some way, that's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my daughter Penny she was in Amity and treatment when she passed away. And I would go down there and visit her. And she really put me on the spot one time. She had a women's group going, and she says, "Mom, can you tell your story?" And I was thinking, what is this lady talking about? And you didn't even tell me about this. So, but I guess to her, my story is living through losing my husband, losing her siblings, um, her addiction, the grandkids going through their addictions, and um, my childhood, what happened growing up in a alcoholic family, the abuse that I witnessed my dad with my mom, the drinking, the partying at the house, just being in a foster home, getting taken away from my parents, being physically abused ourselves, my brother and I, and just surviving all of that. So she asked me to tell my story, and it amazed me that in just the little time that we had together, how appreciative the ladies were that that it's okay, that how they're feeling, you know it's okay to cry, it's okay to if you want to talk, you can talk, and if you don't, then you don't have to. Even listening, you're learning.
Mm-hmm.
And so my mine would be the ceremonies, the prayer, and also I do a lot of reading. I read my Naranon book because I've been doing that a lot lately. Oh my gosh, my grandkids. But I do Naranon by myself. My coworker introduced me to it. She was telling me about it, so I got the book and I've been reading it. And then I do a little bit of the uh, it's called, the I don't know, chicken soup.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
okay.
Yes.
Wow, I haven't seen those books in a
Oh my
long
gosh, you
time.
have to. Chicken Soup for the Soul. It always seems like
This is a
a
sign.
there's a story, there's a message in every one that you read, because somehow you better get one. Somehow it's something that's you can relate to it. So I read that. I do. I read those daily. I work on myself with my on grief and grieving. Oh my gosh, I've read this book over and over, and it always seems like there's a different twist to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same every time, because you're at different stages in your life where it's different. There's a different meaning to it. And then I read. I I was thinking, man, this would be so good for Good Road. It's called What Happened to You. It's his name is Dr. Perry. He's from Bismarck,
Mm.
and it's
Oh,
with Dr. Perry and Oprah Winfrey. And man, this is just when I did a book study with this with my staff, and oh my gosh, it was so powerful how it made me look at myself, and now I know why I'm like this. I mean, it was so powerful. It was just an eye opener to a lot of, it has to do with a lot of trauma, that you experienced when you were young, and how you kind of hide it. You stuff it and puff it until what happens when you don't deal with it. So these are stuff that I do to help myself. The other one is like I said, my higher power. I Oh my gosh, I when you lose so many people in a time frame like we did, I always think, if it wasn't for prayer, if it wasn't for family members calling me, if it wasn't for pictures, just everything that I did to get myself through that, the grief. I believe that if it wasn't for that, I don't know where I'd be. I could easily be gone. I could easily not be here, or I could have been an addict. I could have been, I don't know, but I always think, you hear that saying that you're never given more than you can handle.
mm,
And it's true. It's so true that even reading the Narnan and the 12 Steps book, I think about none of this is possible without a higher power. And I remember you guys did what was it?
family recovery.
There was a group one time in White Shield, and it talked about spirituality. Do you remember that?
A
Who
couple years
was
ago.
there? Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was in the rec.
Yeah, I
You
remember.
guys had did that, and
That's when Des spoke, I think.
I think so.
they talked about what spirituality was
Sure.
to
Yeah.
to
Okay.
you guys. Okay, so I was thinking, just like in recovery and Naranon, none of those, they're not possible without a higher power and without spirituality. And unfortunately, two these two entities, I always think they can't be given to you. You can't wrap them up in a present and say, here,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, they have to, that has to come within you. And in order for your spirituality to happen, all the trials and tribulations that everybody goes through, that I went through in my grieving, have to happen in order for you to obtain that, to get it, to know what spirituality is. and a lot of the addictions, thinking, I think about my grandsons in their mind thinking, that yes, you lost your dad and yes, you lost your mom. I lost my son, I lost my daughter, but you can't use that as a crutch. You have to be able to forgive. You have to move on. You can't stay in that mourning. You can't stay in that grief, because if you do, then you're going to be where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to move on. And that's where one of my grandsons is, and I don't know if he'll ever get it, when you're that young and you think everything is so unfair, you're young, but not realizing you make your life what it is.
Mhm.
Nobody does it but you, and nobody can get you out of that but you. So just thinking about the spirituality part, and that's what I had to feel and experience. And then it came to a point where, how am I going to handle this? I had to think about, honestly, if it wasn't for my grandkids, that that's what my world revolves around, are my two kids that I have, and my grandkids. They keep me centered. They keep me going. They're the reason to be here. I always tell my grandkids, it's not fair, but you just got to move on. What can you do? There's nothing else you can do. So I try to do a lot of the readings, the talking, if I can, to help other people who are going through this similar situation with their children, their grandkids, grieving. It's okay. You're going to be okay. You will. You just have to find something that works for you and use it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of grandmas out there and parents that are going through the same thing, and I know as Native families, we don't really air our laundry out too much.
No.
We would like to
Mhm.
keep things under wraps, and we keep it to ourselves, and we don't reach out. Like Kaylin was saying, her grandma said no one time, and reminds me of a time my grandma was telling me no, my bond was only $500. I was like, easy. I'm gonna call my grandma. This is easy.
Mhm.
And she told me no. And I've never asked her to bond me out before.
Your first time, and she
First
said
time
no.
she said no. And I was pretty upset. But whatever my grandma says goes, I guess. But what advice do you have for those grandmothers and those mothers out there that are struggling to reach out and struggling to get across to their grandchildren?
Advice.
Or tough love?
Oh man.
Some type of tough love?
Tough love for sure. Oh my goodness. There's it just pulls at your darn grandma heartstrings when your grandson will say, "Grandma, don't you love me?" Duh, yeah, that's what I'm telling you. No, but yes, it's many times. Oh my gosh, I remember one time my son Jonah. He was, when you're a senior and you're 18 and you think you know it all, you've only lived 18 years so far, and I told him, this door closes at 10 o'clock on a school night. You're not back. Then you got to find some place to sleep. So here he comes knocking at 11 o'clock. And I locked the door. And I thought, no, I'm not answering it. Kept knocking. And finally it hit quit and got up the next morning. The other kids are getting ready for school. And he slept in the car. And I said, well, I told you those doors close at 10 o'clock. You're not But that hurt at that time for me to say it. And I actually carried through with it and did it. It hurt me, but he knew what I meant. He understood that that's that was the rule. And just to give tough love and to
Mm.
be strong. I mean, uh, I think back in the years my kids were in the house, my discipline was I didn't believe in hitting, spanking. I didn't that wasn't one of my ways to discipline, but I did have a bench. And oh my gosh, people are gonna the 90s school crew back home in Whitefield are gonna remember Kim's bench because I always my kids sat on the bench forever how old they were. They got in trouble, or if you were 13, then you sat on there for 13 minutes and you thought about what you did. Why I have to sit here. And when I was done, they would tell me when their timer was up, and I didn't forget about them sometimes. Mom, can I get up now? But I forgot about you. But he would we would talk and ask him why you had to sit on there, and my husband Max would say, it's your behavior that we don't like. We love you, and that's why we do this. So just to be, to set boundaries, set rules,
Mm.
and try. I know it's hard, grandmas, to carry through with them, but you have to. Otherwise, you're just gonna. Oh, I did it yesterday. Here I am. Um, I put $30 on his texter, and I said to him, "Okay, I'm gonna be stupid again, and I'm gonna put $30 on your texter." Oh, and here I am telling you to be strong, but Grandma, I gotta call my lawyer, and oh my goodness. But just there's times when that darn wall comes down, and then you gotta put it back up again, get back up there, and I mean it. But oh my gosh, so setting those rules, and then when my son Jonah passed away, I I had raised his boys for 6 years, and oh, they used to make me laugh because they had a schedule, they had bedtime, they did their homework, they had chores, and they would go to the games, and just how I brought up my kids is how I brought them up. They're drug and alcohol free home. There's no parties. They had a safe place, and I would tell them, oh, they used to just hate it that they would have to have chores. So and so doesn't have chores. Well, so and so doesn't live here. You do. So, your mom and dad survived it. You guys can survive it. Then one of them said, Grandma, I hate being called Grandma's boys. Oh my gosh, it was so hard for them to have rules. Oh my goodness. But just getting back to that. And I always, always, always tell my grandkids and my kids that there's nothing that they could ever do or say that will make me stop loving them. I love them with my whole being, but I'm here for them. I'll support them. Right or wrong. If it's wrong, then you got to right that wrong,
Mm-hmm.
fix it. If they're lost, still trying to find their way, I'm here for them. I'm here to support them. I'll always be I'll always be a team player for them. I'll always be on their team. But they have to fix whatever the wrong is, and if it's right, I'm still there for them. just the support and to be there for them, and always, always tell them you love them. Always hug them, give them a hug, because that's, whether we realize it or not, that hug and that I love you goes a long way. It
Mm-hmm.
could change somebody's day. And I do that a lot, even with my extended family, my grandkids, my cousins' kids, we all do that. That's something we always do. So the advice, I guess, would just tell the grandmas to just hang in there because they're going to grow and they'll be like Ethan and they'll be like Kaylin. The light bulb's going to come on. It will. I mean, I've seen it.
So you've had kids come into recovery and also grandchildren, a
Yeah.
grandchild go into recovery, grandchildren. How have you seen their lives change, and how did that affect you?
The one, like I said, the one with Jeff is in recovery. I mean, he's clean and he's sober, and I'm so proud of him because he's come so far. He's become a licensed trainer.
Mm-hmm.
So the doors that open for you when you decide to change your life. I always tell my grandkids, do good and good things happen, and they do. I'm so proud of him that I don't have to worry anymore. I don't have to hate that phone ringing at night, and it's just a good feeling. You
Mhm.
have good things come when you do good, and that's how it is for him. And I'm happy for him. And that's all grandmas wish for. My son, Sky Eagle Deer, I'm proud of him. He's working. Um, that's the one that I was worried about, but now I can, it's that you pick up on these old behaviors, like in the Nar-Anon book, where you put your guard up and you come accustomed to chaos because you've been through it for so long with them that now they're in recovery and you don't have to worry. And it's like, do I really put my wall down yet? Can I really take that sigh of relief, but yet you still kind of like, I don't know if I should do that just yet, but it's good. He's got his own house. He has a job. He's married. Things are going good.
Mhm.
I like that. That's what I wanted. Now I feel good. I'm in a good place with them, and that's because when you've come, I've had 2 grandsons who OD'd. One, thank God, the friend called the cops and was able to give him the Narcan, so he survived. And then I have another one who OD'd twice. And I thought, you should have learned from the first time, and then to do it again. I just think how strong that addiction is, that you want it to get high, that you would take that chance again.
Mhm.
Trying to understand from an addict's point of view why you would do something like that. I was listening to the podcast on the way down, and there was someone was talking about that on there about the addiction.
The insanity part of
The
it.
insanity part
Mhm.
of the addiction, it's just like you try to understand that, but it when you're not in addiction, you don't see that point of view. But at the same time, you still have to be there and support them and love them, because those are your grandchildren, those are your kids as kids, and you do what you can. So just be supportive through all of that, because like I said, it might take a few years, but it'll come. What you're wishing for is praying for is gonna come.
I grew up with Jeffrey. We grew up running around Newtown. Anytime he got the chance, anytime Grandma let him loose, me and Jeffrey were running around. And
I don't know how he got away with me on that one.
yeah, raised some hell in Newtown, and I'm really close with Jeffrey. Jeffrey's like a brother to me. Him and his little brothers. Me and Jeffrey graduate together, and yeah, shouts out to Jeffrey. He's gonna be celebrating 3 years of recovery next month, April 7th. I might be a day off, but yeah, super proud of Jeffrey, and happy where his life is. Where it's at today.
I know one of your questions was, what do people wish? What do you wish people understood about families dealing with addiction? I was thinking, I wish that they could see that in my family, and it could be anybody's family, because we all know that addiction does not discriminate. Being a mom and a grandma, I always think my thinking about my son Jonah and my grandkids. How they never, their goal wasn't to be an addict. It just happens when you're not able to deal or deal with something which which is trauma. Something happened that they can't deal with, and just find other ways to deal with it. Just like with my going through my grief, and how I had to find my path, my way, my resources, that I had to do something, because I know I didn't want to. I know where I didn't want to be, and that was, I had so much stuff on my plate already. I didn't need another addition to it. So I did what I did to find ways to deal with my grief. So just for them to remember, people don't plan. They don't plan to be addicts. It happens, and again, just to be there to support them. And even though I always tell my grandkids, we can't pick our relatives. They may be that addict that's on the street, but that's still your relative. You could still acknowledge them and tell them hi, or give them a hug, and who knows, maybe that hi or that I love you or that hug is going to change them. I'm a teacher, and it's, for me, how children learn. You have your lesson plan and you're going to teach this today, but is that child going to be able to learn what you're teaching today? Because I would tell my students, okay, I'm giving you this lesson. Can I put this in your head? No. I said, how can you learn it? Who? And they say, me. So just like with the, it's up to you. You have to decide whether you want it or not. Everything is readiness. When you're ready, it'll come. Like I tell my student, I would tell them, when you're ready, it'll work, and it's so, the reward is so, when they get a concept, and you just know when their light bulb went on and they're like, I get it, and that's That's my paycheck. That's my reward when you know they got it. And that's how it is with, I believe, with addiction. When you're ready, I mean, when you're ready, you know it and you're going to do it. You know, that's all part of it. Just being ready, being readiness.
And willing to be like open.
Yeah.
You know, like that was my biggest thing with, you know, when I got sober, you know, I moved home with grandma and she wasn't open. You know, and I think that would have been a little bit more helpful, you know, in building that connection with me and her, you know, because we never had that because the drugs and alcohol was what always came between me and my grandma, you know, and so like with just building that connection, being open, even with my kids now, I'm still learning how to be connected with them, you know, and don't get me wrong, that's hard sometimes.
It is.
Because then I gotta like, you know, that they want to know what's wrong with mom. They want to know, and I'm like, I'm okay, I'm good, you know, like mom's fine, but they want to hear mom's upset.
Yeah.
They just want to hear that.
Yeah.
So that they know, you know, and recognize that.
So I want to share something with you that I observed when with Sky Eagle Deer in his using. So then he got out of prison, came home, was sober. Okay, so now you get your kids back. What I noticed was they were making him pay for being gone and out of their lives. So they would act up. They would get in trouble in school. And so in order to not have to deal with all that, let them have what they want. No boundaries, no. He would set them, but they would get mad. Like they were able to do it when he was using, but now all of a sudden you want to put rules on us. And you've been gone, you know, and he needed help in disciplining and trying to get the schedules back on track and how to make him feel guilty for not being there when he should have been there and not being open with them and seeing what they went through, and I've seen it with my grandsons too, how you weren't here, you know, making the parent feel guilty. But, you know, and then the parent has to deal with their recovery, and then now I have to deal with this. So I would try to help him, but then again, I need to step back too. And it hurt. I mean, it's so easy, you know, Jonah, you lived in the house. You've seen how we discipline. Get out your bench, you know, give them chores. And so eventually that came, but with a lot of...
That's how it was with my grandma. When I moved home with my grandma and my kids, grandma was right there. And I'm like, Grandma, can you please chill for a little bit? Like, let me handle this real quick, you know? And then... and then it's like me and grandma like trying to go at it, and I'm like, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. I gotta go to a meeting. Yeah.
That reminds me of you when you just said that. You took a deep breath. Oh my gosh. One time I was painting my office and Penny was back for a visit and she was helping me paint, and I don't know what it was. Something about the paintbrush, and I was saying, no, you do it this way. And then, oh my God, how that little thing went into a big fight. And she said, Mom, I'm stepping out. I need to go outside. I need to have a cigarette and I need to take a deep breath. I was thinking, how did we even get to that? It's just a simple painting the wall this way. Oh my gosh, yeah. It's just, little things that I didn't think about, to remember that she's still, and then you come back to where you were doing all of this, and I didn't think about that, and just must have been a trigger for her, or set her off, or that she was dealing with all of that
Mhm.
too, to be in Newtown where she did her running around. But I was just stuff like that you kind of like have to think about, but you don't.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like you're
Yeah.
just talking about how the kids would act up. I got one that does that.
Mm-hmm.
And she's, it's my oldest daughter, and she just knows. She just
Buttons
knows.
to push.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she'll go to school and she's fine. Right. But when she gets off that bus and gets in my car, she's like somebody else, and I'm like, why do you do this to me? You know what I mean? And now I know. And now I
Mm-hmm.
just found out why.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
My addiction plays a part.
Yep.
And I do my best. We go to therapy.
Yep.
I do what I can because I can show up today.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's okay. Now I know it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to have help.
It is.
Because what drove me into addiction is being too independent, right? I got this. I don't need nobody's help, and my ego is, huge, and that's what.
Sound like Penny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something I seen that a lot with parents being gone, and the kids are with grandma, or the kids are with auntie, and okay, now they're back, and now we got to try and make this a family now, and there's so much resentment, and not being there, you're not there. And we were doing what they should have been doing, getting them to treatment, getting them into therapy. And okay, now you're back. So now you can take over. And then not knowing they're fresh out of treatment. And okay, now I got to come home and do all of this now, take them to therapy, drive 20, 40 miles to go to therapy on this day and this day and this day. And I got to cook, but that's the breaker, like, could he do it? Could she do it? I could see the struggle, and you just want to step in and help out, but you want to make sure they have to do it, because they got to live together. That's their kids. You got to go to school, parent teacher conferences. You got to do all of that, and I always remember I had the boys, Jonah's boys, for almost 6 years. And the day they left and went with their mom, I sat on my couch and I thought, wow, this silence is so loud. It was so, I cried, because it was like, what do I do? That was my whole thing for how many years, was to take care of 5 boys. I had Owen, and I had 5 boys, and that's all my life was to care for them. And then now it's gone. It was just like, I don't know what to do. I just felt like when I leave the house, like I left something, but it was not having them with me like I did. But I'm happy they got back with, they went back to their mom and things were good. But it's a real life change for a grandma, and like, okay, now I could do what maybe grandmas do. Like, well, what do grandmas do? I would take them to the games, take them to their track meets, go to cross country, go to teacher conferences. And now I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is boring. I got to find something. So I started sewing again. go to bingo. I get to go to the casino.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a life change for me because I had to find resources for myself again, how to be a grandma. And I always kind of put a guilt trip on them sometimes too. I always tell them, "Yep, I haven't heard from nobody. Haven't heard anybody. Nobody's called grandma.
Yeah.
Nobody says anything." The only one who really calls me is JJ. "Hi, grandma, what you doing?" He'll say. Then Freddie calls me. He sends me messages and love you, grandma. How's your day going? But I think I hope they're listening. I have 10 grandsons and only have 2 that message me and check on me.
Call your grandma.
Yep, call grandma.
Shots fired, man. Shots fired.
But yeah, that's the advice for grandmas too. You have to. It's so hard though to step back and not still be in control. And I get what you say with your mom, and you sound like me and Penny. That was oh my goodness.
And that's something I'm going through right now with my mom. Like, my mom, I put ED on my mom, right? Like, I knew the solution. I couldn't just, because she lost her twin, and she's grieving, and I wanted her to learn all the tools, as much as she could. And then she got home. And then I had to, I want to bring the wall back down, and I want her to, I don't want to be her mom. I'm her daughter. You know what I mean? And that's hard.
Yeah.
Then I had custody of my sister, and I let her have full custody back, and it's a big adjustment. I want to know who's going to the house. I want to, be in control, and I want to, but it's like, Kaylin, you have your own family. You got to worry about your kids. You got to worry about your recovery. You got a job. Like, you have all these things, and that's an adjustment.
Yeah.
And I got to do what's right for me and my kids.
Yeah. That's, when Penny went to Amity, I had custody of Owen and Anira. And she was down there a good 3 months. And then she called me one day and she says, "Mom, can Owen and Anira come down here with me?" And I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know. It was so hard for me. And I said, well, but yeah, I'm trying to be open. I said, okay, well, I'll come down. I'll see the treatment place, and can you take kids there? And, I was thinking, oh, please say no. But so I went down and I kind of toured and looked around and where they would go to school. And she would say, "Mom, it's not a bad place. It's good, and oh my gosh, it was such a struggle for me. It was hard for me to let her be in charge, because it wasn't good. That's why I had them. And I talked with White Outgoman, and oh man, it was hard to. So I said, all right. I don't know why I said all right, but I did. I let her go. They took them down there, moved them down there. And I'm glad I did, because she passed away, and they were there with her. So I was glad that I did that. They were able to spend that time together and be together as a family. But it was hard. I know what you mean. It's hard to, you're so accustomed to the behavior over here, and now you're clean and you're home, and to give that back, and it's just, and the fear is, are they safe? Are they going to be okay? Are they going to,
Or starting over.
Yeah.
Starting back to square one is what.
But grandmas and parents, number one concern is that they're safe and they're okay. And they have a good night's rest. There's no partying, who's at your house, or, oh my gosh. Yeah. But yeah, that's the number one concern for grandmas, is we just want our grandkids to be safe, taken care of.
Yeah, my grandma, I remember being young, right? My mom's drinking and I call up grandma and I'm like, Grandma, come pick me up. You know, my mom's passed out. Then I'd be with grandma for a couple days. Grandma, I want to go back to mom's. Why do you want to go back to mom's? You already know what's going to happen. She's mean to you. She drinks. I want to go back to mom's. And there I go. She let me go, you know, but I always went back to grandma. I always ended up back at grandma's in the end.
I know I always think, you know, kids are so fortunate to have their grandmas that they do, the ones who do have them. You know, it's just, you know, they're just so precious to us, and there's nothing we wouldn't do for them. And I always think, why do they have to grow up? You know, why can't you just stay that little child and be sweet and innocent? But you have to grow up and you have to make choices and decisions and
Have experiences.
Yeah.
And
yeah. But
And let them.
yeah.
That's my biggest, and let them and be okay with it.
Oh man, I tell you, when I read the Narnon book, I was thinking, man, this is so me. You know, we try to be in control when really, you know, you're not. You that's a big thing. But just like I said, with readiness, I know when to I have to let it go, you know, because I have to look out for me. I have to make sure I take care of myself if I want to be here longer for my grandkids. So pick your battles, I would always say. You know, with being a teacher, you pick your battles, you know, you either have a good day or a bad day, you know, it's up to you. So that's all grandmas want, is for them to be safe.
I feel like you covered a good amount of your experiences, and we talked about a lot of good things here today. And I want to thank you for coming up here and sharing your story and shedding light on
Yes, thank you.
on the things going on.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I know what Penny meant now to share my story. So,
Yeah, because your experience will help others, and
that's
maybe,
what I hope. That's all I want.
Yeah, and that's all we're trying to do is just shed light on.
And you guys are doing a good job. This is awesome. This podcast, you know, the good thing is about the podcast is like when I was coming down, I was able to go on Spotify and go back, and all the episodes are on there, and you just click on the ones you want to listen to.
Yeah.
So I'm going to listen to, I think I missed 2 and 4 on the way home. So that's the good part about it. It's saved and you can go back on it.
Yeah.
And I didn't do any cussing.
Yeah, and you didn't do any
Good
cussing.
job. Me neither.
Go ahead, get one off real quick. Hey, go ahead. Well, I want to thank you again, Kim, for coming up here and speaking with us. And
Thank you.
maybe we'll have a part 2 in the future. Who knows?
Yes.
Because there's more out there. There's more to tell, and there's
Definitely. Yeah.
I think it'll be good. So I want to thank you again.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, guys. I enjoyed it.
In this life we live free, yeah. In this life